before we get the meeting underway, the tellers tonight, Mr. Quayle will be counting the section on your right, my left, and he'll also be counting the people at the tables in front, and she will be counting the town clerk and anyone else who might be sitting at the town clerk's table. Penny Richards will be counting the center section, and only the center section. And Brian Wood will be counting the section on your left, my right, and that ought to take care of counting the standing vote for tonight. Also, I would like to announce at this time that of the 3 members of the Finance Committee whose terms are expiring with this town meeting, 2 of them are available for reappointment, and I have therefore reappointed them, and they are Jay Heffernan and Susan Holsing. However, we have resignations from Killian Brady. Bob Mocheri is not available for reappointment because of his recent appointment to the Hillview Commission, and I also have a resignation from John Defansky. So I will be conducting interviews of potential candidates for the Finance Committee over the course of the next several weeks. And if there is anyone here who is interested in serving on the Finance Committee, I would strongly encourage them to submit an application. I'm in the phone book, and even though I have a post office box, if anything is addressed to my street address, it is usually forwarded to me, unless my mailman is on vacation, in which case it's not. Okay, the chair is advised that there is a motion to admit waiting, but before we proceed with that, perhaps we will start with the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Perhaps if you give me the motion. One of you, ladies and gentlemen,
Mr. Moderator, I make a motion to admit Richard Pacelli from Heritage Cable, Sean Morey, request from Freedom of the Floor custodian, George Dow, Senior Finance Director, Robert Taraz, North Reading Transcript, Freedom of the Floor, Frank O'Donohue, School Superintendent, Roger Young, School Business Manager.
You have heard the motion, which is a motion to admit people who are not registered voters here in North Reading to the meeting. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Unanimous. Now, most of the people who were just voted in are employees of the town or consultants to the town, and they will be seated with their respective boards or committees, or they may be seated with their supervisors in the front row of the center section. The facilities gentleman is allowed freedom of the floor for the purpose of providing facility services, and Mr. Turosh is allowed freedom of the floor for the purpose of press coverage. Anyone else who is voted into this meeting either by this vote or by any subsequent vote should be seated in one of the 3 front rows in the section to my right, your left. Monday night, we completed action on Article 10 and Article 11, and we passed over Article 12. We are now up to Article 13. Is there a motion under Article 13? Mr. Venezia.
Mr. Moderator, Gerald Venezia, 9 Pine Glen Drive. Mr. Moderator, at this time I'm going to move to amend Article 13 as follows: to see if the town will vote to raise by taxation and appropriate by transfer from available funds a sum of not to exceed $15,000 to study the feasibility of the financial investment necessary to maintain the Batchelder School as an elementary school for the next 10+ years. 2, the financial investment necessary to convert the Batchelder School to a town hall facility and convert the Murphy Center to an elementary school. And 3, the financial investment necessary to convert the Batchelder School to a town hall police facility, or to see what it will do in relation thereto.
The chair has advised Mr. Venezia that there's something not quite kosher with the form of the motion, and Mr. Venezia is going to rephrase the motion. Mr. Venezia.
Okay, Mr. Moderator, move at this time to see if the town will vote to raise by transferring from stabilization a sum not to exceed $15,000 to study the feasibility and determine: 1, the financial investment necessary to maintain the Batchelder School as an elementary school for the next 10+ years. 2, the financial investment necessary to convert the Batchelder School to a town hall facility and convert the Murphy Center to an elementary school. And 3, the financial investment necessary to convert the Batchelder School to a town hall police facility, or what it will do in relation thereto.
You've heard the motion to transfer from stabilization. Does the Finance Committee have a recommendation?
The Finance Committee recommends.
Is there any discussion? Mr. Venezia, do you wish to speak on your motion?
I do, Mr. Moderator. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm here tonight on behalf of the Space Study Committee. I'd like to just give you a quick overview of the committee and the work that they've done so far. The committee was appointed back in August 1991. It was a joint appointment made by both the school committee and the Board of Selectmen. The idea was conceived by Mrs. Dolan from the school committee. And at that time, the Board of Selectmen, in conjunction with the school committee, appointed a committee that consisted of 2 selectmen, Mrs. Cerrone and myself were the representatives from the Board of Selectmen, 2 school committee members, Mrs. Dolan and Mr. Rydell, 1 FinCom representative, Ms. Vaca, and 3 citizens at large, and they're all here tonight. It's Karen Stewart, who's been our chairperson, who's done a tremendous job, Dick Deming and Rick DeLovo, who've also put in a tremendous amount of time and effort on the Space Study Committee work. The committee was formed primarily, and again at the conception of Mrs. Dolan, because nobody else, not the Board of Selectmen or the school committee or any other group in this town, was looking at long-term plans for town buildings. And we felt that there should be a coordinated effort. We've heard a lot of talk and a lot of rhetoric over the last several weeks from town meeting about working together and cooperation amongst boards, and I'm very pleased to report that the Board of Selectmen representatives, the school committee, and the FinCom have worked closely and harmoniously on this particular venture. In fact, we're even getting to like each other a little bit. So I think that we've made some great strides in working in a cooperative effort here. We won't let it go too far, though.
Is there any further discussion? Well, I'm sorry, you're not done yet, Mr.
There was a goal statement that was established right away at the first or second committee meeting. The Space Study Committee will recommend the most resourceful and economic utilization of town-owned facilities and land after assessing the needs of the community. In order to do this, we took a number of steps. The committee visited all of the town buildings, including all of the school buildings, the Batchelder, the Hood, the little school, the middle school, the high school. We visited and looked at very carefully the town hall, Murphy Center, the public safety complex, the Weeks building, the building on the Common, the Flint Memorial Library, and the DPW complex. We checked and investigated the building capacities of every one of those particular facilities. We looked at the condition of the buildings. We studied blueprints from those buildings. We consulted with and met with the town administrator and the school superintendent, who were both extremely cooperative in our efforts. We reviewed the school population enrollment projections as they were provided to us by Dr. O'Donohue. We met with the town engineer and the town planner. We spoke with the fire chief and the chief of police. We held a public hearing in October of 1991 regarding the utilization of some of these buildings. We've conducted a written survey of a number of community groups as to how they would like to see these buildings utilized. We've also, at this point in time, made some short-term recommendations to the Board of Selectmen for general government buildings, and we've made some short-term recommendations to the school committee regarding the use of school buildings. As a result of the work that we've done thus far, we've identified the following concerns. One, the public safety complex is grossly overcrowded and inadequate. There's a pressing need to expand the facility or move a portion of the public safety services elsewhere. And two, in order to accommodate the projected K-5 elementary education population, we've determined that additional elementary space will be needed in the future as these enrollments grow in the K-5 elementary population. And three, we've also determined that the current location, I shouldn't say we determined, one of the concerns we identified is the current location of Town Hall as to whether or not it's most beneficial for the center of town government to be in the location that it's in now. The purpose of this particular article is to raise funds not to exceed $15,000 from stabilization, because the Space Study Committee has really gone as far as it can with its recommendations. We need additional information before we can go on and make long-term recommendations. We're seeking the funding to obtain that information in order to formulate informed recommendations. We are trying to research now, and we cannot do this without the funding, construction costs for expansion of existing school space, existing school elementary space in particular. We're also looking to determine the costs associated with opening 3 elementary schools. We're looking at the feasibility of the expansion of the public safety complex, and we're looking at new construction costs. Now, most of those areas we can do in-house with our own personnel as far as those areas are concerned. But the reason we need the additional funding, the $15,000, is because we've contacted 2 firms. We've contacted Preservation Partnership, which was involved with the Flint Memorial Library, and we've also contacted Nightbag and Anderson to give us an estimate of what it would cost to give us an estimate of what it would cost to maintain the Batchelder School as a school facility over the next 10 years, or to convert the Batchelder School into a town hall facility and police station type facility, a public safety facility. The estimates that we got, I believe, from the Preservation Partnership was $15,000 in order to do this. The estimate we got from Nightbag and Anderson was slightly more than that, approximately $18,000, although we feel comfortable that we can get them to do this also for $15,000. They could take a look at that facility and they could give us a reasonable estimate of what it would cost, again, to maintain that facility and to upgrade it as an elementary school facility, or to possibly convert that facility into a town hall, police station, and convert the Murphy Center into an elementary school space. In conclusion, I'd say to you that the Space Study Committee does not have authority over any town buildings. We're an ad hoc committee which can only make recommendations. At this point, we are not making any recommendations because we don't have enough information regarding these costs. We'd like to complete the process which we've started and come forward with some solid work